Hi, welcome to What's Cooking with Rochelle, and today we're making a homemade classic favorite, mac and cheese. Now yes, I know you can buy it in a box and make it super easy, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to make it from scratch, and it is oh so much better. Now my kids love it when after I make the mac and cheese, we actually bake it in the oven with some breadcrumbs on top to toast it. So we are going to be finishing it that way today. And I'll show you some alternatives that we have as far as making it dairy-free if you do want to have that as an option. And there's lots of ways to spice up a mac and cheese and make it really zingy. The first thing we need to do is turn our oven on. So I'm going to go ahead and get that preheated, and I'm going to get the water on to boil. Okay, so when I make my classic mac and cheese, I start with a basic, which is called a roux. Don't be scared by that. It's super simple. So a roux is simply butter that's been melted, and we're actually going to blend in some all-purpose flour. So I'm going to turn the skillet on over here, and we're going to melt 2 tablespoons of butter in that. Okay, and while I'm waiting for that to melt, you do want to use a decent pasta. Don't get the cheapest one for mac and cheese. You need it to have a little bit of tooth to it and bite, which means the thickness of the actual pasta shape. Today I'm using a rotini, which is like a corkscrew. You can use whatever shape you want. I don't recommend a long noodle. Any noodle that's a tube that can hold the sauce or has grooves to hold the sauce would be the best. So I was telling you how you can make it a lot different. So I actually have a recipe for a carrot mac and cheese. If you're interested, DM me and I will send you that. You can also make it super spicy. Sometimes I add like a chorizo, and you could use real chorizo or you could use a vegetarian chorizo to give it a little spice and make it like a burger mac and cheese type deal all in one. Some other things you can do, you can add jalapenos, you can add peas and chicken if you want to make it a full entree dish in one bang. So like I said, there's a lot of flexibility with mac and cheese. This is the base. Get creative, have fun. That's what cooking's all about. Okay, so our butter is just about melted. We'll get this going. And to the water, I did add a little bit of salt. But you don't want to really put the pasta in until the water is boiling, and then you want to cook it al dente, which means you definitely don't want to have it super soft. So you're going to cook it a little less than whatever the cooking time is on the pasta that you purchased. Okay, now that our butter is melted, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Once we get that into a paste, we're going to slowly blend in milk. Now I have 1.5 cups of milk. It's kind of gauged depending on how much pasta and how much you just add more milk or less depending on what you need. So you can see the butter is bubbling, so it's starting to brown a little bit. If you let the butter brown, it will give it a little more color and flavor. Now you want to cook the butter or cook the flour in the butter. And as you can see, that's what I'm doing. That's why we're making this paste. And I did this in this big open pan so you guys could see it. But when I normally make it, I make it in a regular deeper dish that's narrower. So just slowly add a little bit of milk and blend it in to get out the lumps. You can see how it's absorbing it. You can also add, if you wanted to, add some stock instead of all milk. So like I said, I would tell you some alternatives. You could use a coconut milk, an almond milk, cashew milk, and you could use half stock and half alternative milk. Most of the alternative cheeses don't melt super well, so test them out and see which ones you like better than others. That's going to be a personal preference there. And you can see I'm just breaking up the flour butter to mix it in with the milk. If you needed to whisk it, you could whisk it to get all the lumps out. I know you can't probably see that, but it is starting to thicken a little bit. And our water is just about ready for the pasta. Okay, now to that, we're going to add a little bit of salt. I have like a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. If you want it, the cheese has a lot of salt. That's why we're not adding that much salt to it. So let's add our pasta first. And that was a 16-ounce bag of pasta that I chose. And you can see how this is thickened up now. And you're simply just going to add the cheese. I am using today a Colby Jack. Colby Jack is a mixture of Monterey Jack and cheddar. And we're just going to melt this. Now, I shredded this myself, which, you know, I've shown you before, doesn't take very long. See how easy that's coming together? Okay, now that we got the sauce done, we're going to leave that sit. We're waiting on the pasta to finish. We're going to dump the pasta directly in there once strained, obviously. You might need a little bit more liquid. It seems like you could either add more milk or we can add some pasta water. But I'm going to get you back in about 5 minutes when the pasta's done. Okay, so our pasta is cooked enough, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Okay, so when a pasta is cooked al dente, you could see it's a little bit bendy, right? But it's hard. Like when I go to break it, you could tell it's not cooked in the middle. So I hope you guys could see what I'm talking about. So we're gonna put all the pasta in the sauce and stir it up and then dump it in here and put it in the oven. I'm just gonna add a little bit of the pasta water. To me, it's a little too tight, which means it needs a little more, like I said, liquid. So you could add the pasta water, you can also add milk, you could also add broth. So you see how it's got a little bit of soupiness to it now? That's perfect. That's what we want. Okay, so you're just gonna dump it in the dish. Now, if you didn't want to bake it and put the breadcrumbs on, you're done. You can eat right now. Isn't that exciting? So we're just gonna dump this in here. And if you like crunchier, meaning with the browned parts, the crunchy parts, use a longer, flatter one. If you like it more creamy and not crunchy, use a shorter, wider dish. So these are just breadcrumbs, just some old bread I just ground up myself. You could buy breadcrumbs at the store. You could buy them already seasoned. This was probably, I don't know, a half a cup or so of breadcrumbs, just whatever you want. This is a little Parmesan cheese. I'm just putting that on top just to, again, add a little bit more color to it when we bake it. And it goes in the oven. All right, here it is. So you can see that little bit of extra Parmesan we put on top browned really nicely with the breadcrumbs. It was absolutely bubbling hot when I took it out of the oven just now. I did cook it at 400 degrees and it actually only needed about 8 to 10 minutes. So it doesn't take very long to finish it off this way if you can hold off from eating it once it comes off the stove. So I am gonna let this cool for a minute so I don't burn my mouth, but it won't be long, I promise. We gotta dig into this stuff. All right, I finally get to eat. All right, let's take a scoop out. See if it's cooled off enough for me to eat a little bit. I don't know if you can see it's still steaming, but we can take a bite. We'll just blow on it. How's that? That is very good. Nothing like comfort food, right? Homemade mac and cheese. This is the basic. You can make it way healthier. You can add a protein. You can add a vegetable. If you want some suggestion ideas, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. Thanks again for watching What's Cooking with Rochelle. Bye for now.